The galaxy slumbered in its usual silence. Stars shimmered softly across the abyss. Planets drifted around their suns in quiet rhythm, and life persisted in the grand sprawl of space. But on a remote, forsaken world, a change had occurred. Something stirring beneath its lifeless skin, ready to fracture the calm that had endured for millennia. And it would all begin with a discovery no one had foreseen. That planet was Zith. Arid, desolate, and long abandoned by explorers, Zith had faded from memory. But for one team of alien researchers, it had become the center of intrigue. Their instruments had detected odd readings from the planet's far side, an anomaly with no clear explanation. Curious, they ventured down, expecting a geological quirk. They were wrong. Captain Zarek, head of the expedition, surveyed the land. Dry dust spread in every direction. His crew, now on the surface, had begun to spread out. The air was thin, but it wasn't the oxygen that made things difficult. It was the silence. No winds, no wildlife, just stillness, ancient and absolute. Their mission was simple: investigate the energy signature. Zarek had tackled similar tasks before, but something here unsettled him. The way the landscape held its breath, the instinct crawling up his spine. The others felt it too, the weight of a world that had not spoken in ages. Hours passed before something broke the tension. Lyra, a young scientist, cried out. Her voice was uneven. "Captain! Over here!" Zarek moved fast, boots scraping, across the cracked ground. Lyra knelt beside a large stone formation, her scanner blinking rapidly. Beneath the layers of dust and rubble, they unearthed what seemed to be the edge of an ancient structure. At first glance, it looked like crumbled rock. But as they cleared more, intricate carvings emerged, symbols unlike any known in the galactic database. They glowed faintly, alive, pulsing, radiating an energy that was both mesmerizing and ominous. The team clustered around it, their fascination growing with every passing second. "What is it?" Lyra asked in hushed awe. Zarek stared at the markings. He had explored ruins before, but this was different. The carvings weren't just decorative. They were part of a system, a message, or maybe a mechanism. "This isn't from any known race," he said quietly. "It's older, far older." Legend spoke of civilizations that ruled the stars before history began, myths scoffed at by scholars. But Zarek had seen too much to dismiss such stories. As the team dug deeper, the shape of a doorway appeared. Covered by debris, its edges shimmered faintly. They had found an entrance. "Should we open it?" Lyra asked. Zarek hesitated, hand above the door's edge. His gut warned him to turn back. But the explorer in him, the seeker, pushed forward. "Yes," he finally said. "We open it." He pressed his hand to the door. A long moment passed. Then a grinding groan filled the air as the stone slid open, revealing a corridor cloaked in shadow. The cold inside was palpable, the kind that sank into bone. As the crew stepped through, a wave of energy surged around them, unlike anything they had encountered. More of the glowing symbols lined the inner walls. But this chamber held something else, something immense. At the far end loomed the remains of a machine, towering, dormant, yet undeniably powerful. Its design was elegant and alien, yet somehow familiar. It looked like a weapon, one beyond any race's capability. "What is that?" Lyra whispered. Zarek's throat tightened. "I don't know," he replied, but something told him they were about to find out. This wasn't just a relic. It was a signal, an ancient truth buried under dust and time. And it was waking. The air inside the structure felt thick, like time had congealed. As Captain Zarek and his team advanced, their lights cut through the dust-filled dark. It dawned on them. They were walking through a place older than any archive could recall. Lyra's fingers shook as she swept her scanner across the walls. The symbols reacted, twinkling like distant stars. With every step, the ambient energy intensified, tingling their skin. Awe mixed with unease. This place was not the work of any species the galaxy knew. They reached a grand chamber. There, towering statues lined the walls. Though time had worn them, the shapes were clear. Upright. Forms, 2 arms, 2 legs, a head with deep, thoughtful eyes. They looked human. A stunned hush gripped the team. Every chart, every record placed humans as newcomers, a species still learning to stretch into the stars. Yet here, on a world untouched for eons, were monuments to their likeness. "Captain," Lyra said, her voice barely audible. "This can't be real." Zarek steadied himself, but sweat gathered at his brow. Sometimes, the most improbable truths reshaped everything. He stepped closer to one statue, brushing dust from its chest. A deep hum rolled through the room. The ground trembled. Then, slowly, the floor in the hall's center began to split. The crew stepped back, weapons raised on instinct, but Zarek motioned for calm. This wasn't a trap. It felt orchestrated. From the opening rose a pedestal. Atop it sat a sleek black object, gently vibrating with power. Though unassuming, the energy it gave off was immense, like a silent storm waiting to roar. "What is it?" Lyra asked, eyes wide. Zarek shook his head. "I don't know, but it's old. Very old." Lyra raised her scanner, but sparks flew as the device overloaded and died. Every piece of tech in the chamber did the same. Communications, sensors, all of it disabled. Whatever this artifact was, it rejected analysis. It was alive and aware. Lyra was the first to speak the truth. "Captain, this tech, it's beyond us, beyond anyone." Zarek nodded grimly. "And it's human." The implication struck hard. If humans had made this, then history itself was false. The great empires strutting across the stars had not built the galaxy. They had inherited it. The real architects were long forgotten, and now waking. "We're taking it," Zarek said firmly. No longer an excavation. This was a revelation. Possibly a weapon. Possibly something far worse. They secured the device and prepared to leave, but Zarek felt eyes watching, not the crew's. Something deeper. Something that had slept for too long. When they emerged back into Zith's dull light, the planet no longer felt lifeless. It felt aware, awake. Beneath its surface, something shifted. The crew didn't notice the thin lines of light that now spread through the dust. Ancient systems reactivating, sending signals into the stars. Silent beacons. But few in the galaxy remembered the old warnings. Fewer still believed. So the message was ignored, and that would prove a mistake, because humanity, forgotten, erased, was returning, and this time, they would show no mercy. As Captain Zarek's vessel left Zith and vanished into the void, the team believed they'd found a lost mystery, something they could study or sell. But they were wrong. The moment they disturbed the ruins, something ancient stirred. A signal shot through the stars, faster than light, ancient and relentless. Across the galaxy, in the oldest, most secure strongholds of power, long dormant alarms flickered back to life. The originals are stirring. On the Karn Dominion's homeworld, within a mighty reptilian empire that had crushed countless foes, High Commander Vaktar stared in disbelief at the warning on his screen. Hands trembling, his cold-blooded heart hammered in his chest. Myths he had laughed at now stood before him in data as real as any threat. In the crystal spires of the Valari Ascendancy, where logic reigned and minds fused into a hive of thought, the ruling council assembled. Panic clashed with pride as they attempted to decode the resurrected language. Even they, with their supreme confidence, felt the chill of something greater. Fear stirred for the first time in countless generations. In the shadowed void between galaxies, the silent fleets of the Krell Armetta drifted like dark ghosts. Their leaders awoke from long slumber, eyeless faces turning toward a signal. Words whispered that hadn't been spoken since the dawn of time. The humans have returned. Captain Zurich's ship raced toward human space, oblivious to the storm they had unleashed. Across the galaxy, great powers moved, armies gathered. Secret councils decreed the only way to survive was to destroy humanity before it could fully awaken its ancient strength. Inside the ship, tension rose. The ancient device, silent but potent, hummed through the systems. Engines thrummed, lights flickered with a heartbeat pulsing through the ship itself. Lyra felt it deep in her bones. This was no mere technology. It was alive. "Captain," she whispered one evening as stars flowed past the window. "It's calling out. It's not just dormant, it's waiting for something or someone." Zurich frowned, haunted by dreams of golden cities, vast fleets, battle-shaking galaxies, always with mighty humans at their center, no longer weak and scrambling, but rulers, unchallenged. "It's waking," he said softly, more to himself than to Lyra. Far away on Valari, the Council's grim decision sent encrypted orders to their fleets. Locate the human ship, retrieve the device. If retrieval failed, eliminate them. The Krell Armada shifted course, shadow ships moving like sharks drawn to blood. Even the Karn Dominion, proud and unbeatable, dispatched warships racing through hyperspace to intercept Zurich's fragile vessel. Hidden wars ignited across the galaxy, secret agents moved, alliances crumbled. The unthinkable was true. Humanity, once mocked as fragile, was ancient and infinitely dangerous. All powers agreed. Humans must never fully awaken. Unaware of the web closing around them, Zurich pushed toward Earth, carrying the sleeping giant, slowly opening its ancient eyes. In dark space, enemies gathered, ready to strike, and soon the first shots of a new war would be fired. On the Starborn's bridge, Zurich felt the calm of space mask the coming storm. Lyra's fingers flew over communications, deciphering strange signals filled with threats. Suddenly, alarms screamed. 3 massive Karn warships dropped out of hyperspace before them. "They want the device," Lyra said, voice tight with fear. Zurich ordered shields up, heart pounding. The Starborn wasn't built to fight such power. Survival meant outsmarting, not outgunning. Green energy beams sliced past as he dove into a nearby asteroid field. The Karn ships pursued, confident, until Zurich's bold piloting led one into a massive asteroid, destroying it in a blinding explosion. The crew cheered, but Zurich knew the fight was just beginning. The device in cargo pulsed faintly, alive, and watching. Lyra whispered, "What are you really?" Far beyond human sensors, fleets converged, armies assembled, secret plans laid. The galaxy knew humans held a power that could change everything, and they would fight to take it. Back on the Starborn, the device glowed with a soft blue light, pulsing like a heartbeat. Zurich entered the chamber, unease stirring deep inside. "What's happening to it?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "I think it knows we're here." Suddenly, the ship vibrated with a deep hum. The device unfolded like a blooming flower, revealing strange symbols and a spinning core of light. A whisper echoed in their minds. Strength, wisdom, battles fought long before Earth existed. Then, alarms blared. A new fleet approached, larger and more fearsome. "We can't outrun them," Lyra said, voice steeled with fear and resolve. Zurich studied the sensors. Fighting was suicide. But then the device spread through the ships. Systems like living energy, Engines roared with unknown power, shields hardened beyond design, and new weapons came online. The device, it's upgrading the ship, Lyra gasped. Zurich realized the device was no relic. It was a gift, or a test, left by ancient beings who once ruled the galaxy, perhaps choosing humanity as successors. The enemy fleet closed in, confident in their trap, but Zurich smiled grimly. Humans were no longer weak. They bore the legacy of something older, greater than the galaxy had seen in millennia. "Let's show them what happens when you wake the oldest power in the galaxy," Zurich said, gripping the controls. The Starborn surged forward, its weapons, cutting through the enemy fleet, scattering ships in panic and fear. They hadn't hunted prey. They had awakened predators. Yet Zurich knew the war was far from over. Beyond the stars, greater forces stirred, turning their eyes toward Earth, toward humanity, and the ancient power now beating in their hands. None would be ready. As the enemy fleet's flames burned behind them, the Starborn raced home, carrying something far more precious than crew, a living heart fused with ancient power. Back on Earth's approach, Zurich sent a warning to every leader, every soldier, every scientist. Humanity had awakened a force that would change the galaxy forever. And for the first time in eons, the empires of the stars felt fear. Fear not of each other, but of a small blue planet they once dismissed as weak.